He stood there shocked as the movers loaded the last box. "You can't just leave me with nothing," he begged. I looked at him. Truly looked at him for the first time in years. "You left me with nothing 6 different times. The only difference is, I rebuilt." Hey Reddit. I'm not sure where to even start. But I guess the beginning is as good a place as any. My husband 42M and I 38F have been a we for 15 years. Married for 13 of them. But the clock on our marriage really stopped about 12 years ago. That's when he had the first affair. It wasn't just a one-night thing. It was the whole 9 yards, emotional, physical, the kind that rips the floor out from under you. I remember finding the texts and feeling my brain just short-circuit. It was like trying to read a foreign language that was describing the end of my world. I should have left. A part of me, the part that wasn't a mother yet, screamed at me to pack a bag and run. But we had our daughter. And I was pregnant with our second. The thought of shattering her world, of becoming a single mom with a newborn, was paralyzing. So I made a decision. I chose to try and save my family. We went through the motions, the tearful apologies from him, the promises that it would never happen again. I chose to believe him. Or at least, I chose to act like I did. Soon after, he got a huge promotion. The job was demanding, but it paid enough that I could finally do the one thing I'd always dreamed of: be a stay-at-home mom. And just like that, a new reality cemented itself. He worked constantly. I'm talking 6 days a week. Not walking through the door until 7 or 8 at night. He was a ghost in our house. A provider I saw on weekends. And honestly, it made things easier. His absence became a shield. I poured everything I had into our girls. I was there for every scraped knee, every school play, every bedtime story. My life was full, revolving around them. Over the next decade, he cheated on me 5 more times. I don't have all the sordid details for each one, because I taught myself not to look for them. It was a conscious choice. I'd see a weird name pop up on his phone and I'd turn away. I'd smell perfume on his shirt when he came home late and I'd just throw it directly into the wash. My internal monologue became a constant negotiation. If I pull on this thread, everything will unravel. The girls are happy. They have a home. They have me. That's what matters. So I ignored it. It was a quiet, unspoken arrangement. He funded the life that let me be a full-time mom. And in exchange, he got to live a different life outside our home. It was a messed-up bargain. But for so long, I told myself I was getting the better end of the deal because I had my children. I know how that sounds. People will probably say I was weak or naive. But when you're in it, you just call it survival. Has anyone else ever found themselves in a situation like that? Where you intentionally put on blinders just to keep the world from falling apart? The fragile piece I had built for myself, that carefully constructed world of denial, held together for over a decade. Then, 2 years ago, it was obliterated. My grandma passed away. She was 77. And it was a sudden, massive heart attack. 1 minute she was here. The next she was gone. This wasn't just a loss. It was like the sun went out. She was my person. My lifelong soulmate. She was the one who looked at me and saw me. Not just a wife or a mom. But the kid shed taught to bake. The teenager shed given advice to. My husband was the provider. My kids were my purpose. But my grandma, she was my home. The grief wasn't a wave. It was a new ocean I was drowning in. 4 months. The world was gray and muffled. Like I was living underwater. I was still deep in that fog about 6 months later. Just trying to keep my head above the surface for my girls. I was paying bills one night. Sitting at the kitchen table after the kids were in bed. The house was quiet. I opened the credit card statement. Just going through the motions. And then I saw it. A charge for a hotel. A Marriott downtown. On a Tuesday night a few weeks back. My brain tried to make sense of it. What was that? A business trip. No. He would have told me. I pulled up the calendar on my phone and went back to that date. A sick feeling started to pool in my stomach. I remembered that night clearly. Head called to say he was pulling an all-nighter at the office to finish a big project. He sounded so convincing. So stressed. In the past, this is the moment where I would have stopped. I would have folded the paper, put it in the shredder, and gone to bed. I would have told myself it was a mistake. A business expense. Anything but the truth. I would have done it to protect the arrangement. But as I sat there, staring at the charge, something was different. My grief had hollowed me out. And in that empty space, there was no room left for self-deception. All the energy I used to spend ignoring the truth was just gone. It was like I was looking at my life from a distance. The thought that clicked into place wasn't just, he's cheating again. It was, he did this while I was grieving. He looked at me, saw me shattered into a million pieces over my grandmother's death, and decided I wasn't worth even a basic level of human decency. He wasn't just breaking our vows. He was kicking me when I was on the ground, struggling for breath. The betrayal wasn't about sex or another woman anymore. It felt like a deliberate act of cruelty, aimed at the most vulnerable part of me. The bargain wasn't just bad. It was poison. And I finally realized I'd been drinking it for 12 years. That was it. The final straw. It wasn't bigger than the others, but it landed on a completely broken foundation. Has anyone else had a moment like that? Where it's not the act itself, but the timing of it, that finally wakes you up. That night at the kitchen table was the end of the marriage, even if he doesn't fully know it yet. Seeing that credit card statement didn't just break my heart. It broke the spell. For the first time, I sought professional help. I found a therapist, started on some medication to help me crawl out of the fog. And for the first time in my life, I started talking about what was really going on. During one session, I was describing how it felt, the cruelty of him cheating while I was grieving, and I said, it was like he was kicking me when I was already down. My therapist just looked at me and asked, has anyone ever made you feel like that before? And the answer hit me like a physical blow. My mom. Growing up, whenever I was hurt or upset, her response was always the same, well, what did you do? You probably deserved it. I spent my entire childhood learning to accept pain as something I had earned. And in that therapist's office, the whole pattern of my life was laid bare. I had left my mother's house and walked right into the arms of a man who treated me the same way. The realization was sickening, but it was also liberating. This wasn't a problem with my marriage. It was a problem with my lifelong tolerance for abuse. And I was done tolerating it. That was the fire I needed. A few weeks later, for the first time in over a decade, I started looking for a job. I updated my old resume, practiced interviewing in the mirror, and I landed a position as an administrative assistant at a local company. My first paycheck was, I don't even have the words, holding that piece of paper with my name on it. Money that I earned was the most powerful feeling I've had in years. It wasn't a fortune, but it was mine. It was a tangible piece of my independence. So, I'm done. Completely and totally done being hurt, being ignored, being a footnote in my own life. I am so unbelievably excited to start over. To build a home that is a real sanctuary, not a gilded cage. I want to show my girls what a strong, happy woman looks like. Not one who shrinks herself to keep the peace. I'm not out of the woods yet. I have ducks, but they are definitely not in a row. I'm saving every penny, looking at apartments online every night, and trying to figure out the logistics of telling him and starting the legal process. It's scary and overwhelming. But for the first time, the future feels like a promise instead of a threat. Keep your fingers crossed for me that I get to move out soon. Thanks for reading all of this. Please be kind in the comments. I know how much I've allowed myself to be hurt over the years. I just buried it all so I could stay home with my girls. But now I know they deserve a mom who is whole. And so do I.